In this video, I'll talk a little bit about transformer core ground. So we know in a transformer the windings are wound around the core, which have high voltage, and because it's high voltage, whether it's a primary or secondary winding, high potential could capacitively transfer from the windings to the core, because we know there is insulation between the windings and the core, so the only thing really connecting the two is capacitance, because capacitance is just will always exist, whatever you have a conductor or two conductors. So the core should be grounded at one location. If the core has cooling ducts, which for large transformers, so large power transformers, so if you take, for instance, 700 MVA, 345 to 138 kV, or it can be anything. That's what I mean by large power transformers. So those, the core is really huge. So if you think about the cross-section area of the core is huge. So it's a big mass, even if they are laminated, but there is no cooling, in between the laminations. So what they would do, they would insert cooling ducts, and I think I have a picture that I will show what I mean by that. So that oil can circulate in between like sections of the laminations. The manufacturer will perform simulations to see what is the most effective, cost-effective way of addressing any localized heating, for instance, in the core. So if you have cooling ducts, because cooling ducts now, they're gonna put two sections isolated from one another. So then each section should have a core ground. However, some practices, what they do, they will bridge two adjacent core sections. Basically, you have two core sections that are in between them. They put cooling ducts. What they do, they also bridge the two sections, like put some kind of a jumper, jumper the two sections. So each manufacturer does it their own way, So the capacitance between any adjacent laminations is large, and the surface area. So basically, what you end up with is a very small capacitive reactance. Because if you look at the definition of capacitance, if you have two plates, so this is just for simplicity, two plate conductor capacitor. So you have epsilon, which is the dielectric constant, times the cross-section area of the conductor divided by the distance between the two conductors. So if the distance between the two conductors is small, that means, and we know in the core, the laminations, area is large. The distance between laminations is really very small. So it makes this, very large. Then we know capacitive reactance is 1/2 pi Fc. So this is large. So this C is large. That means this reactance will be very small. Because again, the distance between laminations is huge, so it's large. And the area is also large, area of the lamination. So, but the distance is very small, I should say. But it's actually smaller, So what you end up with a very large capacitance. So all core sections virtually remain at same potential and only need one core ground. So one. So again, I took this picture from the internet, and here's I want to give them credit. So you have, when you look at the core, for this is core form. So for core form, shell form is kind of similar but can be different, and it's kind of like a round section. So you have steps. So you have lamination kind of blocks, like what they call steps. Then because you have so many, the core is huge, so what they would do, they might enter some of these cooling ducts. So basically it might be like some porcelain. Basically you want to create a gap such that oil can flow easily between those sections. So some people might do, like press board and with some kind of like sticks to create paths for oil to flow. So there are different ways people do it, but it's an intentional, basically create a gap basically. So you have oil duct, and you can create as many as you need, to keep the temperature of the core within an acceptable level, because you don't want it to get too hot, because if the core gets too hot, next to it is oil, so it's going to overheat the oil, and also there is a paper insulation, press board, wood, and so forth. And if you overheat oil and then you overheat paper, they're going to start release gases and other things. Pressure will go up, and the next thing is all those gas, that pressure needs to get out, and and if somehow there is a leak or there is oxygen makes it inside, air basically makes it inside, now you have a recipe for fire basically. So that's why you want to control. But basically because you have these cooling ducts, so each section you would have like a core ground, like bring a strap or a jumper basically. It doesn't matter where you put it, as long as it's basically between, for instance, this is one section. In this example, this is one section, and you do the same thing for the other ones. But what I was saying was, some manufacturer will put just one jumper. So this is core ground, and which would go to a bushing, then that bushing would be grounded. What they would do, they would just insert either like a jumper between these two here. Some people put some kind of like conductor in between, and that way you kind of bridge those two sections, and in that case you only need one core ground. Because so if you have a core ground, let's say if you have a core and you have these, so here's kind of the steps, so like the middle step, then you have the other steps, and the laminations are almost touching, and they're symmetrical. Basically whatever you put here, it will be on the other side. So, and obviously this gap is not huge. This is, probably should add another section here. So what they would do, they would just put, in this case, if there are no cooling duct, they would just put one core ground. But if you have cooling ducts, like in the case of large transformers, then either you need a core ground in each section that's kind of created by the cooling duct, or somehow you need to bridge each two adjacent sections, that are isolated by a cooling duct. That way you only have one core ground. It's always good to have just one core ground, because anything you add, it's another thing that can cause a failure, So that's kind of the bottom line. Because all these things, you have to isolate them from any other conductor inside the tank, and So the core frames should also be grounded, because the core, I showed in previous videos, that the core laminations are held together, top and bottom by core frames, core clamps. Those need to also be grounded at one point. Always avoid creating ground loops. So that's why you don't want to have more than one ground, because if you have more than one ground, Now you created a loop, and current can circulate in that loop and cause heating and other things. So these currents could lead to burning the ground connection if these currents are sustained. In other words, if you have the frame, for instance, you have the frame, let's say the top, and you ground it like at this point, because someone might think, well, if I have two grounds, that way I have a redundancy. For instance, if one of them comes loose or fails or whatever, I still have another one. But the problem is now, so again, this is just it's just a hypothetical example. It's not, just to give you an idea. So you have ground, the jumper, there's another one here. Now if there is any, so because you have leakage flux, which is going to induce eddy currents and other things, so now current can flow from here to the ground and back. So you're going to have some circulating current. So what's going to do, if it's sustained for a long duration and it depends on its magnitude, it could overheat this jumper and ultimately cause it to melt. Now you lost that ground, and also it could do the same thing here. Now you lost that ground, or it could cause overheating for the frame. So it can cause all kind of other things, So it's always better to just have one ground, So that way you avoid creating a loop, Thank you.